All right, another race in the books. This one, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Race at Atlanta. We're just going to do a real quick stream here talking about what happened in the race. Look forward to the Xfinity race, everything like that. Looking right now, thank you guys all for jumping in as we do this on, kind of a almost, I wouldn't say last minute, but I wanted to see, how we could do this if we didn't have to worry, say, about the doubleheader. I want to see how we can do a doubleheader, and we'll go from there. The race itself, I don't think was great necessarily. I saw a lot of people in the chat saying a similar thing or feeling a similar way. It wasn't, I wouldn't say it was that great overall. But everybody kind of file on in here. We're going to go into the unofficial results. They're probably not going to have the official results posted for at least 15 to 20 more minutes at least, just because that's how it is. But let's go through and read off how the finish of the race ended out, and then we'll have it up top on the ticker. So I have it written down right here. We got Eckes with the win in that 19 truck, even if it was not announced right away. It took a little bit to announce who the winner was. I agree, the coverage was trash. The race was a mess. It was kind of what the Truck Series has turned into at Atlanta Super Speedway. Make the acronym what you want on that one. But no matter how the race was, Eckes got the win. Nick Sanchez got second. Very strong showing for Sanchez today. After that, John Hunter Nemechek in third. Bailey Curry with a top five, the fourth position. So good run by Bailey out there today. And then Matt Benedetto with a top five unofficially in fifth in that 25. By the way, click that like button. If you're new here, subscribe. We're going to be doing post-race for as many races as we can. You got Ben Rhodes in sixth. Seventh was Timmy Hill. A good run for Timmy as well. After Timmy Hill, you had Purdy in eighth, Crafton in ninth, and let me check. I believe Wood in 10th. Ty Majeski in 11th. Haley Deegan with a okay 12th place run. She didn't get crashed, so better than last year with everything that happened. After Haley Deegan, there was Holmes in 13th. Ryan Vargas with the 14th place run in his first truck start of the year. So good for my boy Ryan. Wright in 15th. Daniel Dye in 16th. Ogata in 17th after early issues. Garcia 18th. Enfinger 19th. And Boyd rounds out the top 20. My pick on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast, as well as yours in the chat. Zane Smith finished 21st. Stuart Friesen 22nd. 23rd, Rayum Gray in 24th, and Raja Karuth in 25th. Tyler Ankrum in the 16 was 26th. In 27th was Colby Howard. Riggs 28th. Mason Massey 29th. Dean Thompson rounds out the top 30. Carson Hocevar with a 31st place finish today. Lawless Allen 32nd. Honeycutt 33rd. Heim 34th. Maggio in 35th. And McGee finishes dead last today. Again, all unofficial results. We will post them up at the top right now, actually. Might as well not hold that any longer than I gotta. So let me just pop those babies up there. And also with that up top, you're going to see after the results of the 2023 Freight 208. Hey, might not have been a great race, but the name itself was pretty awesome. After that, you'll see my streaming schedule both on this channel and others throughout the week. So be sure to follow me on all those too. We're going to have a big week ahead of us. But yeah, that was really the gist of how everything went down. It was a very sloppy race. When they weren't choo-choo training. I mean, from the start, they were choo-choo training this race. It was a damn train on the top. And I get why they did it, because they wanted to avoid what the end of this race turned into, but it was just crash after crash after crash, man. And when you look through the way this race went, the opening half of the race, like before the final stage, in my opinion, was pedestrian. It was just guys trying to just survive it out, get to the end of the stage, try and get their stage points. and then go from there. I like what Groovy Goose here has to say in the chat. And I'll be reading what you guys have to say in the chat, especially if you leave super chats too. I for sure will say those as well as members. We're over 100 members already on this channel, so thank you guys. That helps a ton. That honestly actually equates to getting an extra race or two of coverage at the track. So I thank you guys so much for that as well. But I like what Groovy Goose has to say here in the chat. I might be a lone wolf. Or goose, maybe a lone goose. I like that. That might be our thing in the chat here, lone goose. With this, but I didn't hate the racing at this track, but the coverage was garbage. But that's on Fox, in my opinion. So I'd say personally, I wasn't a fan of the racing. I wasn't a fan last year though, even when a lot of people really liked it. So, like, I might be a little biased one way because I was a huge fan of old Atlanta. But I don't think it was as bad as, like, you know, choo-choo training, you know, 2009 Amp Energy 500 train or 2013 Daytona 500. I don't think it was that bad. But the coverage was lacking, which it is Fox Sports 1. This is the third tier, guys. You got people like Jamie Little who are new to the booth too, which I still honestly at this point think she's better than Vince Welch. So it's just everything kind of comes together not to be the greatest on this. But let's go through everything that kind of happened today. Stage 1 was for the most part pretty chill. You had on lap 24 a wreck with Tanner Gray and Riggs, and that was about it. You finished the stage after some choo-choo training, with Eckes getting the win in that one. I will say, even if it is a meme, I do miss the way Vince Welch would say Eckes. I always thought that was funny. But then stage 2 rolls around. You actually have a real debris caution on that stage. And then you have Honeycutt. He has some issues too. There was a good race at the front between John Hunter Nemechek and Matt Crafton, though Nemechek couldn't make the pass to get the stage win at the end, couldn't clear himself up. And Crafton gets the stage win in that one as well. But other than that, there really wasn't too much in those opening 2 stages that caught my eye. Yeah, there might have been a guy that made a weird move here or there, or tried to play hero ball, and didn't really do too well with it. But it wasn't like anyone was really running over their heads for the most part. It seemed pretty good. Now, I see some heart reactions in the chat. Thank you for that. I can finally see those now. So thank you for that. I like what Craig has to say, though. I noticed this as well. I think the surface really is going to age well. And I'm saying this now. Unless NASCAR has to majorly change the track with SMI or the packages in the top 3 series, I don't see Atlanta as a super speedway staying a super speedway past 5 to 7 years, honestly. Because I think with that, you're going to, honestly, I think you're going to get more racing towards the top, like we saw a lot with the draft, but you're going to see a lot of racing towards the top. And I feel like it's going to be a 1.5 mile version of Darlington, because you could see where they put in brand new patches of pavement on the track today, compared to the pavement that they raced on last year. And that pavement they raced on last year was noticeably lighter. I mean, like, I remember, for instance, when they repaved Talladega in 2006, and that track was jet black. It was really cool to see. It was a beautiful looking track. But when they came back to Talladega the next year, it still was pretty dark. It was darker than this Atlanta one was. So I don't know if it's the Georgia temperatures or the compound in the pavement that they used. But I would say that this track, I think, is going to age differently. And I think we're going to probably see more of a Darlington type of racing. And maybe if the Highline gets too, OP in the racing itself, maybe they mess with the track, and maybe even for racing purposes, not like other tracks that did for Weeper purposes or others. Maybe they put a fresh pavement strip for like a grip strip or something, to try and even it out, similar to what Pocono had in the late 2000s before their repave. Because that really changed the complexion of Pocono races and made those races, in my opinion, a lot better back then. Maybe they do that in a couple of years with Atlanta if this pavement continues to age as well as it's looking. At the same time, the way it's aging does kind of make me, as an old Atlanta stan, a little jaded, just because, man, I would this track, like, if it were to age the same way, could have come into its own really quick. And people forget that the great Atlanta finishes everybody remembers from the 2000s. That Atlanta track was still pretty fresh in pavement. So, it's painful. It's painful. For me at least, as an old head when it comes to this take. But let's look at the final stage of it. Starts up with Ogata drifting up the hill, getting into another car and spinning into the inside wall. Luckily, it didn't end his race, though. Ended any semblance of a competitive race, but didn't end his race. But then with that, you have some pit stops. And this is where you see the first issues of the day arise. You see Heim and Kobe Howard get together on pit road and collect Stuart Friesen a little bit. But this puts the 11 truck back in the pack more. He has to make a choice on lane changes to the bottom instead of being more comfortable up top. Gets caught up in a restart wreck with Nick Sanchez and ultimately ends Heim's day. So that was very, very big when it came to the complexion of this race. After that, with 40 to go, you had a caution for Dean Thompson in the wall. He was squeezing the wall in turns 1 and 2 by Lawless Allen. Cuts down a tire, goes up into the outside wall of 3 and 4. I think of more of a racing incident. I think it was just Lawless didn't know where he was on the track in comparison to the competition. But unfortunately, bad run for Dean Thompson. Then you have John Hunter Nemechek spinning Wood from the lead with 22 to go. And again, another instance of just aggressiveness, plate racing, super speedway racing, whatever you want to call it. With 13 to go, you have the issues in turn 3 with Carson Hocevar, Lawless Allen, and Matt Crafton. I think they said Enfinger wasn't involved. They said it before. I don't know, because Fox missed the damn crash. They had it, and then they missed it. They literally, Jamie Little, and we have some trucks in the wall. And they're crashing, and there's a caution. 1 banana, 2 banana, 3 banana. A few moments later, 10 banana, 69 banana, 420 banana. Oh, wait, we finally got to see the crash, or at least what happened with the crash. So FS1, big FS1 moment there. The abnormally long cautions that had been happening all race continued there as well. You have a caution for Hocevar then with 5 to go after the restart, which leads to the overtime finish where all hell breaks loose. That was pretty much it. That was pretty much what the truck race entailed today. Nothing very special overall, in my opinion. It was mid at best, below average, probably. But that is what it is, man. Yeah, 69 banana, 420 banana, or potato, or whatever you want to count by. But it is what it is. I'll read some of these chats you guys got in a moment, but I want to say one thing. Can you guys do me a favor? It is March 18th, and I'm going to do this in the next stream after the Xfinity race as well. We'll get to the Xfinity race in a moment, but I have a more important thing. I will get to that super chat as well, Andrew, which, by the way, Andrew, thank you for your top 75 list and all of the detail you went into with it. But I have a very important thing to ask of you today on March 18th. March 18th, you might be thinking, what's so important about that? Well, it's important to me because it's my mom's birthday today. You might not be in the chat. She's enjoying her birthday. I do not blame her for doing that, but spam some birthday cakes or celebrations or happy birthdays. Her on here is Mother of All Icebergs, but wish my mom a happy birthday. And Mom, if you're watching, happy birthday. I hope it's going really well. But I feel like I'd be a bad son if I didn't ask that at all. So if you guys could, and I'm going to ask in the next stream as well, because come on, it's my mom. Like, I'm not going to gloss over that. But happy birthday, Mom. I hope it's going well. Have fun at dinner tonight. Let me read some of these chats here. Napa Racing Fan 927 brings up a good point here too. Kevin Harvick in the 29 at North Wilkesboro. I won't be there. I'm excited. I'm sorry. I'm excited for that one. That one is special for me. I remember watching Kevin Harvick in the 29. I didn't watch that specific race. I was 3 years old at that time, I think. Yeah. But it's awesome that I'm gonna be able to see that scheme in person, man. That is cool. That's really cool. I'm excited. And I'm gonna be flying in from Montana after running a marathon the day before, to do that. So, and thank you guys for wishing my mom a happy birthday. I love that. That's awesome. That's really cool, guys. Thank you. Andrew, you had a $2 super chat. I'm convinced NASCAR uses a skeleton crew for trucks. Maybe that's their cost-cutting measures. Maybe they fired all the people that used to be good at it. No, they just leave that to the teams. No, I kid. I think they do use more of a skeleton crew, or they use this as like the training wheels of getting these new guys that would be running races and getting them into key on this kind of stuff and what they're supposed to be doing. I think that's what it is. I don't think it's smart because these trucks, they're running really fast speeds. They crash really big, and they can injure somebody just as much as a Cup or Xfinity car can. So I don't know. I don't know what to really say about that. But the Truck Series has been lacking in a lot of ways the last couple of years, and it's showing the kind of more low budget that they're using with it. But enough about the truck race. We have one more race to go into today. They're doing their NASCAR race day right now. Actually, we've gotten into the time window at the moment for the Raptor 250. I love that name. It's a good name. But let's preview this Xfinity race before we head on out tonight, and then we will be back in a couple hours as well. By the way, before we go any further with it, though, I want to remind you all that we have a post-race stream tomorrow after the Cup race. On Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, we're on IDK Players Channel for the NR Cup Series at the Fairgrounds. I just visited the Fairgrounds yesterday. Amazing condition of building, parking garages. So the BS that residents say about there being no parking options is wrong. There's plenty of parking there now. Or at least there will be. And then on Wednesday night on Black Flags Matters channel, who is currently at the race giving some pretty good coverage of it, we have the NASCAR Weekly Podcast. Full week this week on top of 3 or 4 videos, depending on what time allows me to do. And shorts, but we are going to have a lot of fun, a lot of coverage. It's going to be really, really good this week. So be sure to subscribe if you're new, and subscribe if you want to see what we talk about after the Xfinity race, which we are going into right now. The Raptor 250. I have 3 real big points that I want to either ask about or point out with this race before we go into it. I have them written down here. So the first one, is this going to be a more racy race than what we saw in the truck race? The truck race, for the most part, was pretty calm. Not much really going on. The high side, which we'll talk about in a minute, was very OP compared to the rest of it, unless you had a lot of organization. Will the Xfinity cars race better? I think that's the biggest question going into this race. It doesn't matter what drivers there are. If the cars can't do the work, then the racing will reflect that. So that I think that's a big point to look at. Another one we talked about, the top side. The top side of that track is the strong side, both on restarts, overall with the racing, unless you gang up on them on the bottom. So are these Xfinity cars going to race better all over the track, or is it just going to be the top side like it was this past race and also last year as well? And then also the worn out track. Like I pointed out before, this track is very worn out, and it's showing. And I'm interested to see the difference between the racing on a fresh Atlanta repave and reconfiguration versus this year with a bit older track, at least older looking. Sounds like a Raptor. If you watch The Boys, you know why I would say it like that. By the way, click that like button before we jump on out of here. Like I said, we're going to do a short stream with this one, probably a bit longer after the Xfinity race, and then we're going to roll right on in tomorrow into the Cup race. Cup race, I think, with it being 400 miles, is going to be very racy. Spencer says a dinosaur is a trophy. That is true. And it's funny because Danny and Darian being at the track got me a picture, man. And And the first thing I sent was John Hammond from Jurassic Park. Spared no expense. So JT Soul says, how did it get so worn out in 1 year? I think a lot of it is the weather itself. I think that might actually be pretty much all of it. The weather itself is that, like, because it looks like when you look at the new fresh asphalt compared to the current one, like I said, it looks night and day difference. Even when you compare it to like Talladega or Daytona when they were, it's surprisingly more worn out than a normal repave is. I think a lot of it is very hot Atlanta, or at least Georgia summers, on top of honestly, I would say across the South, it seemed like a bit of a lax winter, but still some very high fluctuations of cold to hot. So I think that for me is why that would happen. I see everyone talking about the shingles vaccine. I didn't see Danny's video yet because I've been busy today, but I will be sure to watch that. But yeah, I think that about covers everything that we're looking at for this race today. They're already amping up on the Xfinity race coverage, so go over on Fox Sports 1. Xfinity race is starting in about 5 minutes, it looks like, at least based on the coverage. So let's watch that race, and then I'll come back in about 2.5, 3 hours, and we'll talk about it. Maybe 2 hours. I don't know how long it'll take. But thank you guys for watching. I will see you in a couple hours, and well, you know, let's end out on one funny thing. Lightning. Yeah, we got lightning. Woo. Yeah, okay. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.